Okay, let's start.
Yeah.
Hi together. I'm very sorry because I will have to leave during the lunch break because I'm teaching tomorrow and after tomorrow in Paris. But thank you so much to Do and Zev and Moshe and Anat who have organized this school. I will speak about a small perimeter of a small city called Jerusalem. So we will try to even to mix and to cross some of other things that we have said since Sunday. I just want you to. This is the web version of the app, because we have a web version for PC or when you want to show it to your students on big screen. But you have it in these languages now: English, Italian, Français, Hebrew, and Arabic. The Arabic is still problematic because we had problem with the code, so there are some bugs in it. We are fixing it. But the best way to have the experience is to open your Apple App Store, or to open your Google Play Store and to look for the Jerusalem Big Quarter application. It's free. Now it's the v3.1. And it's much more, yeah, and even you can bring it with you when you are on site and so on. So yeah, we will talk about the disappeared neighborhood, of course. The issue is not to talk only about the death of this neighborhood, but about the life. And it's always a problem that we have in this region, not just to talk about some places when it disappeared, but not forget that we are historians, and not like just legist doctor just coming here to see that there is nothing. So we will try to see how to make this this story possible. I just want to present myself much deeper. I proposed to Zur, you remember Zur, 3 topics, and the one was about hydrology in Jerusalem. It's my PhD. Hydrohistory of Jerusalem from the middle of 19th century to the middle of 20th century. It's not translated, it's in French, but you can, because there is a lot of documents and I see people interested with infrastructure, electricity, not only water supply, but, and of course, everything is interconnected. It was a kind of thematical coring in the history of Jerusalem. I take just one topic, water, which is simple. It's very easy to translate. You can knock every doors and ask, do you have something about water? And sometimes it did work. And you know, maybe you heard about the South Aqueduct of Jerusalem coming from Artas, Bethlehem, and so on. And this aqueduct came, when it go in the city, it came through the Harat al-Mograbi. So I heard about this neighborhood, but not that much. After that, I tried to make it like a chronological coring. So putting all the topics, but in a very small timeline, the opposite of and after that, I began to work in a totally different way with the collective Open Jerusalem project. Now we are gathering like 60 searchers in 15 countries, in 12 languages. You can use this this website. It was funded by the ERC. We have like 40,000 documents, hundreds of thousands of pages of document. And the thing about with the Open Jerusalem project is only one thing that you have to know is that every document, even they are in Ethiopian, in Russian, in Hebrew, in Arabic, in Ottoman, but they are described and in English. So you can, there is a search engine and you type an English word and you will gather documents in many, many languages. And after that, if this document really interests you, you can download it and you will find someone in HebrewU or in your network to read it. We were trying to change the paradigm. Let's open the gate, and after the people will work. Even when I was working with my Jerusalem 1900, I was working on the question of the quadripartition of the old. I don't know if it's a good English. Yeah, I think the only thing that everyone know about Jerusalem territoriality is old city is there is for quarter. Like you can say it sleeping, like there for quarter. And sometimes maybe you don't, and we say that the Muslim quarter, the Christian quarter, the Armenian quarter, which is strange because the Armenians are Christian, yeah. But still, and the Jewish quarter. In this book, I tried to, I like we've said about Venetian ghetto, I tried just to show that it was a late and exogenous invention. Of course, when you look at the indigenous archives, the people are not describing the city like that. The name for even this is a fiscal document, Ottoman fiscal document 8081, and you see Bab Huta, you see Bab Hamud, you see Nasara, you see Sharaf, you see Silsila Al-Wad, of course. You don't see Christian, Armenian, or even when you count the people inside this neighborhood, and when you try to put the late quadripartition and it's not working. You have a lot of Jewish in the so-called Muslim neighborhood, a lot of. You have a lot of Muslim in the so-called Jewish neighborhood. The more dense the neighborhood are, the more mixed the population is. The most poor the population is, the most mixed the neighborhood are. So yeah, even this, we discover something. But what do you see? The first question is, what do you see on this map on the left? It's published in 1881. So you see M for Muslim, you see C for Christian, you see A for Armenian, and you see G for Jewish. So everything is going, okay, you are. But there is a small detail which is strange, which is not the same that in the map that you look on the touristic map. M, C, A, G. Where is the Western wall? The Moria, yeah.
In the end of the day.
Yeah. What is this?
Do you want to enlarge it?
That's the
Mograbi.
All right.
Yeah, this is the Mograbi. So we discussed with Hanan, yes. So the so-called Jewish quarter is separated from the Temple Mount Moria by something which is Muslim, according to this map, according to the guy who made this map. Here there is something, and it's quite a decision to separate the Jewish quarter too. So it's not by chance. It's decided that from the Al-Wad, this is the Al-Wad Street, of course. So on the eastern side of the Al-Wad Street, till the Bab al-Mugharibi, it's a Muslim thing. We don't know what. So let's continue. Yeah. This is the Mughrabi neighborhood. And it's just the first information, the first insight. So even the quadripartition of the old city of Jerusalem, which is one of the biggest popular knowledge about Jerusalem, even this, at the end of the 19th century, the Mughrabi neighborhood was making a difference and giving some other information. So it's important in itself. We have to deal, of course, with a sudden and very brutal disappearance. Why sudden and brutal? Because this is not a view of Saturday, 10th of June. It's a view of it's during the 1910s, just before the First World War. But it's just to say that in Saturday, 10th of June at 6 o'clock in the evening, the neighborhood was intact. And on the Sunday, 11th of June at 9 o'clock in the morning, there was no neighborhood at all. There was a journalist from the Jerusalem Post. He came in Sunday at 11. There was nothing more. It's rare in historical city to have this kind of. And now, of course, if you open the Google Map or Google Map, you don't have anything. If you open any guide or newspaper or so on. So we have to deal with this disappearance. We have to deal with the physical disappearance, but we have to deal also with the historical omission, and not only an Israeli one. Of course, in the Israeli historiography, there are not big things about the Mograbi neighborhood, and it makes sense. It's okay. But even in the Palestinian historiography, and even in the Jordanian, not more. There is hypothesis. I don't know if you have some hypothesis why the destruction of this Arab Muslim neighborhood in the very center of the old city of Jerusalem, the Holy City, 55 years ago, why you don't have many books or papers written by Palestinians. You don't have it. It is information. You don't have no one book. This paper, one paper, this one, published in Jerusalem Quarterly.
Because they weren't Palestinians.
Yeah, this is the part of the answer. They were from Maghreb. Their name was Al-Mograbi, Al-Fassi, Al-Kawi, Al-Jazairi. They were and they are still very Maghrebian. And the problem is that years before the destruction, they were French. We will understand why. Because they were protected by French. And so they were French. And as you know, the Algerian nationalists and the Arab nationalists, they had link. So they were in the middle of the war between old imperial powers and rising Palestinian nationalism. There are other reasons for this silence. We will see it. But just to explain that before, when I began to work, there was this paper published in Jerusalem Quarterly. There are some footnotes here and there. It's not a secret. A lot of people knew. And there is this book by Simone Rica, but it's about the reconstruction of the Jewish quarter. And there are some pages, some lines about the Mograbi neighborhood, but not so. So when you have a physical disappearance and a historical omission, you have a complete obliteration. So we have to deal with it. And we have to find a way not only to build knowledge, but to build to make it popular, so we'll see how. I work on archives, I published book, papers, translation, press paper, 3D, comics book, documentary film, which is in preparation. So we are really trying, understanding because of this situation, we have to move from an academic to a popular knowledge. This is the original book in French. This is the same book but published in Morocco. So it's very cheap. So it's easy for them. Yeah, it's like 8 euros. This is 25 euros. So this is in Algeria. It's crazy to publish a book in Algeria. I don't do it. Don't do it. I become crazy. This is the English one published by Stanford UP in 2022. This is the Arabic one, IPS, Institute of Palestine Studies, 2 weeks ago in Beirut. They managed. This is the Hebrew one. It will be published by Ivrit In like the translation is finished, we are working on the final edition. I think maybe in 6 months, and this is the web this is the app. This is just because I think maybe, yeah, this is a comic book that I published 2 years ago in France. Now it's translated in 12 languages. It's a historian comic book, 250 pages about history of Jerusalem from the beginning to our days. And these are, when you are writing a comic book like that, I published this book on the Mograbi neighborhood, and for the Mograbi neighborhood, this is the space that I have in my own comic book. So, on the left, you have The Foundation of the Neighborhood by Alaf Dalali, the son of Salah ad-Din. On the right down, you have Sari Nusseibeh. When he was young, he liked a lot going through the Mograbi neighborhood, Sari, and that's why he has a son. One of his sons is called Burak. Burak is the Islamic name of the wolf. So again, how the people are still connected with places, even when the places are not his own son, has this name. And on the right, you have the destruction. So expulsion of the inhabitants, description, and so this is just to show you how it's possible to summarize history, but still, this is just the English version if you want to go through. And this is maybe the Hebrew version of the book about the quadric partition. Press and public debate, how to make academic knowledge popular knowledge. Nir Hassan from Haaretz is deeply interested with this research. He already published a paper in 2023 when the V1 of the app was published. When we will have the Hebrew version of the book, we will talk about more and more. Here you can see I am with Haifa Khalidi. Haifa Khalidi
From the library.
You know, yeah, she used to be the custodian of the Khalidi library. As you may know, she passed away last summer. She passed away last summer, but before that, for years and years, we did work a lot on this topic with her. And even we were ready to create even like political debate in like, for example, this is AFP and Reuters and so on. So yeah, you know that if you want sometimes that your academic work is going into the public debate, you have to say something that journalists will listen to. So you have to say something like historians say that Israel planified and the destruction, and not only few people by chance and so on. So this was the process. As you know, I think when you go in the old city, you know that there is still this Moroccan flag. It's always a new one. It's not every 6 months they put a new one, and it's quite an information because I don't know. You know how difficult it is to put even a very, very little Palestinian flag in the old city, to say it's not possible. It's difficult to put some foreign flags in the old city on your own building, of course. Here, yeah, you have this image, which is in itself, I think, an information about space and places. They are from Morocco. They want to show it. They have the protection still today from the Morocco consulate, and of course, they are very happy of the new friendship between Israel and Morocco, because they think, and they are right, that maybe they will beneficiate from it. So yeah, it's a work in progress process of sharing knowledge. It's not a stable history. We are in the middle of something. This is just to show you that this is a picture of one of my notebook. I was trying. I get crazy with the archives, and I put the archives on a kind of map, but a geographical map. So this is the old city of Jerusalem, of course. This is the Maghrebi neighborhood. This is the custodian archives. This is This is Algeria, you know, it is in the good place. Morocco, Tunisia, Egypt. Arafat is somewhere here. Why? Because Arafat, as you know, he was born in Egypt, but you know, maybe that before he went back in Palestine, in Gaza in 94, the only place where Arafat lived in Palestine was the Maghrebi neighborhood for 3 years. That's, again, it adds a new line of the mystery. The only place where he lived is, this is Abu Dis, where, you know, the Islamic archives are today. This is Amman, the Jordanian archives for the Jordanian period. This is the biblical school. This is the municipality archives, Meron Benvenisti here. This is Israel. This is the army. This is Israeli State Archive. This is Central Zionist Archive, not far away from here. This is Ankara Waqf Archive, Istanbul Imperial Waqf Archive. This is France, UK, PF, Palestine Exploration Fund. Yeah. You know, international documents, New York, UNESCO, Société des Nations, UNRWA, Red Cross, and so on. Yeah, I was trying to build the links between this microcosm and the macrocosm of the archival. And I'm saying to you, never forget your pen and your paper. And yeah, I'm old school, but even if you do it on a tablet, but just draw your ideas, draw your problem, put some things, because it helps a lot. Okay, we are here. We are in the shadow of the Western Wall, the English title of the book. We can see that there is still toponym here, Ahat el-Mugharibe. Okay, here we have Bab al-Mugharibe. Here, you have to know that there are 2 doors called Bab al-Mugharibe. This one to go on the Ramat Sharif Temple Mountain, and that one.
Shara Ashpot now.
Yeah. Now, before, and maybe tomorrow, but it's a multi-layer situation. Sometimes you don't have more than just Bab al-Mugharibe. Now, if you are around, there are 2 doors. You have a ramp, Mughrabi ramp. You have a fountain in Souk al-Katanin, near Souk al-Katanin, and you have a mosque inside the Ramat Sharif, the mosque of the Mughrabi. So you have toponyms which transmit memory, but memory, it's not urban reality. And the big question is, most of the people who knows that there were something, they think that, yeah, it was a slum. And that's why it was destroyed so fast, because it was a slum, because it was easy to destroy, and because it has to be destroyed. So it's not a problem. A slum can be called a Mughrabi neighborhood. So we have to go deeper and beyond the memory and beyond the toponym to reconstruct the history. And for this, we need archives. Sometimes this is a Vandervelde beautiful map. Sometimes you have not only the door, and in this case, you see that this is the Porte des Immondices, Porte du Fumier, but you have Ahat el-Mugharibe. Let's talk about something very, very strange, and I think we are in the very center of our school. So I said that the neighborhood was in the shadow of the Western Wall. It is. When you look at it, it's just in front of the Western Wall, yeah? Yes, but no. Let's understand. It's specifically talking about historical formation of spatial knowledge. We had this discussion with Elhanan like 8 years ago, I think, Elhanan, the first one. I'm very happy that Elhanan, you are here, because you are the one who opened my mind. When you are in front of a heritage like the Western Wall, which was built by Herod, it's not fake news. It's very difficult to think, even when you are an historian. It was built during the Second Temple period, okay? So it was built before the Mughrabi neighborhood, okay? No problem. Second Temple area, and Saladin period, Mamluk period. But what we know, what Elchanan know, is now that this part of wall, so this structure, is a Jewish sanctuary only in the 16th century. Before, there was no Jewish here, individual, collective, no prayer here. So it was not the Western Wall. Why it was not the Western Wall? Because from the destruction of the Second Temple, the Western Wall name, the Western Wall memory existed already. And it was not this wall, it was a remaining part of the temple. So it was it was supposed to be inside the Temple Mount. And the Psalm said, the Western Wall was not destroyed. You can understand that if this Western Wall is inside the Temple Wall, you can pray to it from every side of the mount. You just have to be in the right direction. And all the travelers during the medieval times, they are describing, we know it, they are describing Jewish on the top of the Mount of Olives, for Tisha B'Av, of course, but for, and very often in front of the Eastern Wall, what we call the Eastern Wall. Why Eastern? Because it's east of the temple. But they are praying to the west, in front, for example, in front of the Golden Gate or Double Gate. So in their mind, they are, and the travelers are saying, I can see Jewish prayers praying in front of the Western Wall. But he comes from the Mount of Olives, so you know that he's here. And so that's why some academics, they say, it's a problem of translation. You know, always the same explanation. When they cannot understand, it's a problem of translation, it's a problem of transcription, someone didn't understand. No, it's east-west, it's the sun goes up here and down here, east-west, it's special knowledge, very basic. So they are in front of the Eastern Wall, but they called it the Western Wall. And it makes sense if you are in their mind, because they are praying toward the Western Wall, which was inside the temple. So let's going back to our neighborhood. In the middle of the 16th century, we don't know exactly why. Maybe we have some hypotheses, Elchanan and me, and maybe this part of the external Temple Mount wall became a Jewish sanctuary, Jewish gathering there and praying. We know it by history. We know it by archives. In Istanbul, I discovered with one of my Turkish colleagues 2 years ago, a letter written by the Qadi. Qadi is just living here, though he has his window, and he's written like, you know, it's an everyday letter that we have water, we don't have water, it's hot, it's not hot, we have snow, and they say, they are Jewish there. It's new. What I have to do? If it's okay, is it not okay? So Istanbul say, deal with it, try to, okay. Okay, in Istanbul, but so we see that the administration of the city discovers something new. So we have the smoking gun. This is, yeah, it's new. So now the chronology is the contrary. Now the Mograbi neighborhood was there before the Jewish sanctuary. As a sanctuary. Okay, because stones, you have stones everywhere. And places and spaces, it's not the same. So you have space, you have this space, you have these stones, but as place, with a place name, it's just the 16th century. And what is very strange is that this neighborhood is, the inhabitants of this neighborhood are Mograbi, so Ma'aravim, Westerners. Ma'aravim. And we know that they are praying this wall for different reasons. Of course, because it's the wall of the temple of Solomon, Suleiman, of course, and they invented, you know, the Al-Burak tradition, Mahomet, blah, blah. It's possible, I'm just thinking, it's possible that this wall was called, before the 16th century, the wall of the Ma'aravim. Even in Hebrew, Kotel HaMa'aravim, the Kotel of the Maghrebis, the Kotel of the Westerners. You just have to, no, it's an hypothesis, just to help you to think sometimes out of the box, because maybe not, maybe not. Maybe it's Al-Burak, it's very Muslim, and somehow Jewish came and say, oh yeah, we discovered the Western Wall, it's here, and that's it. I don't know, we don't know. But so before the 16th century, we can say that the Western Wall was a territorial tradition without location. And in Jerusalem, you have many, many of these. So it was a place without a space to go in there.
Why territorial? Why do you say territorial?
I'm not good in English, and I think you're right. It's not a good word. It's I don't know. It's
Place.
what?
A
Place.
without a physical space. Yeah.
Yeah, a place without a space, it's sure. It's a tradition. But yeah, the thing is that in this tradition, it's Western. So yeah, you think that the place is in the name, but no.
Textual.
Yeah. You're right. Textual, but with West
Right.
in the text. So okay. This neighborhood was created by Salahuddin and his son to host Muslim pilgrims from Maghreb, Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, because it was a long way, because they need to be they need to be housed on their way to Mecca or on the way back. So it cost money. The neighborhood cost money. You have to build the houses, you have to feed the people, to bring them. Even during the winter, you have to give them things to be against the cold and so on. So you need an income. It's a waqf, so you would need the balance of zero. And the income is the village of En Karen. So can you understand? This is the neighborhood in the very center of the old city. Arafat lived there. It's in the front of the Western Wall. And the income came from a small village called En Karem, not, which is very well known, of course, in every tradition. So it's adding a new layer of mystery. En Karem, the whole village of En Karem from the medieval age was belongs to the Waqf of the Maghreb. Every spaces. And we know it because even when, for example, the Christian, they build a small chapel and so on, they have to pay to the Mughrabi. And we have the rental location or so on. So you have this neighborhood, but it's directly linked with Ankara. This is the oldest version of the Waqf Foundation that we can find in Ankara, because in the Ministry of Waqf, Turkish, this is the neighborhood and this is Ankara. So it is a multi-layer history. It's an Islamic history, of course, and we have to go to the Abu Dis archives, and we can discover a functional and operational institution. For example, in 1889, we can see here an announcement of tender for the bread provided to the Maghrebi in Jerusalem during Ramadan. It's working. Like, we need this quantity of bread. Please propose your price and quality, and we will. And there are hundreds and hundreds of this type of documents. It's a really well managed institution. At the very end, of course, you have, for example, this document, which is the list of the 135 houses destroyed. Management archives, you have account books. And for example, you can see that the budget was 20,000 piastres in the middle of the 19th century, 80,000 piastres just before the war, by 4. The piastre was stable, as you know. So it's not an institution going down and down. It's an institution very dynamic, more and more rich at the beginning of the century. You see, for example, this here we are in the custodian archives. So the Franciscan archives, this is region Magravinos. And because the custody, they built a chapel to have a rest outside of the city. It's still existing today. And so every I don't know what, every 6 months, I think they pay a rent for the soil. Here we are down, we are in the municipal archives of Jerusalem. So Israeli municipal archives / Ottoman period archives. And we can see that here you see Haj Qasim al-Maghribi, who was hired, I don't know, to be a gardener, but we have a lot of al-Maghribi in these archives, much more than, there were like 1,000 people out of, in this period, like 50,000 inhabitants. But there are much more than 2% of the municipal employees. Sometimes for some of the department, they are like 10% or 50%. They are in the very center of the, maybe it's because they are not 100% insiders. So they are, we see it, you can trust them because they are from the Maghreb. So they collect the taxes. They are, for example, they are describing as the people who are sharing the letters between the huge families. Chateaubriand has 3 lines about the Maghrebi, and he says they are the only one who take care about the letters, the very private letters between the big families. They are in the very center of the cities. They are not marginalized in the slum. They are Maghrebis, but they are in the center of the public system. Of course, it's also an imperial Ottoman history, and you can see dozens and dozens of this type of petition. For example, this is a collective petition against Haj Bashir, the illiterate. Haj Bashir was not a good guy. He took some money and he was. So this is the signature of the people of the family of the Maghrabi neighborhood saying and explaining that Haj Bashir has to be dismissed. But you have dozens and dozens and dozens of this type of document. Of course, we arrived at the beginning of the 20th century, and we are opening a new chapter, which is the Zionist history. I think you know that, yeah, the destruction is 67, but way before, there was this project, Rothschild. This is well known. We're on the left, we're in the Central Zionist Archives. This is a letter from Albert Antebi, member of the Municipal Council. Not Zionist, but it's strange that, he tell everyone that he was not a Zionist, that he was even an anti-Zionist, but he was working for the Zionist, and this is till today, yeah. But he was working for trying to buy the neighborhood to the Waqf. Vous savez, j'ai bien lu votre lettre du 28 février relative au Kotel Ma'aravi. Kotel Ma'aravi. J'ai exposé à Monsieur Dizengoff, wow, and Monsieur Yelin, wow. All the Vadim, all the big, so it was, and of course, Lublin, let's see, I think this is Aronson, okay. But of course they discovered the same thing. This is an Islamic foundation, so it's not possible to sell it. So it's always the same, but they try. During the First World War, Jemal Pasha, very sympathetic guy. Jemal Pasha, among other things, I discovered that in the Central Zionist Archives, you see Klagenmauer project. He tried to sell the Maghrabi neighborhood to the World Zionist Organization through Berlin, because the office were in Berlin, and we can see that so we have a big file, and we can see that the World Zionist Organization, they knew that it's not possible, but they take profit of the situation to have more information about the neighborhood. But at the end, they say, no, we are not interested. They know that he's not the owner. He's trying to sell something that he doesn't know, but we are in the middle of the war. There is a lot of story about that. It's stories and okay. I think that the 1999, 29 riots began exactly here. And what I discovered, it's not exactly here. It was between inhabitants of the Mograbi neighborhood and Jewish people. So it was like the year zero of the conflict, or it was exactly here. Here we are in Oxford. I don't have time to, because I want to be back to the territorial issues. After 48, it became a colonial French history. And we have documents, many documents in Paris, in Alger, in Rabat, in Nantes, in Aix-en-Provence, because the French had an idea. So it's not anymore in the of course in Mandate Palestine, in East Jerusalem, and someone discovered that it's called Maghrebi neighborhood. So the importance of knowledge, and it's written, it's Maghrebi neighborhood, but Maghreb is ours. So it's French. So it's a French neighborhood. It's and they don't have any more money because Ein Kerem now is in Israel. So their income is like zero. So let's say it's a French neighborhood, not in a bad place to try to play some cards, and they don't have money anymore. So let's make kind of soft power, and let's show to our dear Algerian and dear Moroccan, and that we are dealing very well with the Islamic and Muslim heritage in the holy city and so on. It's written. They use this neighborhood to try this kind of thing, and it works. So from 48 till 60, 62, so for 14 years, it's not so long, money came from Paris, money came from Algiers to restore the buildings, to open a school, to open a club for the youngs, the box club, and they pay for a radio. That you can see that the neighborhood, because of this situation, is so definitely it was not a slum. It's 67. It was just restored years before, for good or bad reasons, but still. This is funny because in the consulate French archives, you can see like French diplomat, very French diplomat, trying to understand this situation, and they are very okay to manage this neighborhood, but they didn't understand anything. This kind of drawing here is very funny because Louis Massignon is a huge. Yeah, he was teaching in the Collège de France. Okay, but for example, demandez à Neuville. Neuville was the French consulate. Plan exact du Waqf Abou Madian. La Zawiya, Louis Massignon, he's trying, but the Bourrak, the court, Mur de Lamentation, no, this is the Islamic judge, so it can't be, blah, blah, blah. It's very funny to see him trying to, it's a different way. They are trying to gather the popular knowledge about that they don't have. It's funny. Still, yeah, there are still petitions. Here, for example, we are in 55, and it's written expropriation of the fields belonging to the Waqf Abou Madian in Ein Kerem. Yeah, where yeah, Ein Kerem. The French tried to open a judicial cause against the Israelis to get some compensation about Ein Kerem. Ein Kerem belongs to the Maghrebian, so belongs to France. So, and the Israelis were more or less okay to discuss, and so a judicial issue was open. Game over offense of the empire, because 62, Morocco it's done, Tunisia it's done, 62 Algeria is independent. So the French, they have to decide that they are not protector of the Maghrebi neighborhood anymore. They can't play this card. And this is very strange. And that's why, so we are here in the French embassy in Alger, the new French embassy in Alger, because now here, the ambassador is Jean-Noël Jeannet, not Jean-Noël Jeannet, the father, I don't remember his name. And he is trying to give the file to the new Algerian authorities. It's another explanation. I can tell you that this story is very difficult to hear in Algeria. Why? Because the new Algerian authorities, they didn't care about it. And they clearly abandoned the Maghrebian. Why? Because there are very Muslim pilgrims outside of the new independent country. It's not our top priority. Or they came back in the new independent country, or. The thing is that the French ambassador in Israel asked to the Israeli court, please wait for 6 months, just the time for the Algerian authority to get prepared and to know about the file, to be at our place in front of you. And the Israeli judge said, okay, 6 months. 6 months after, no Algerians. So the French ambassador asked again 6 months. Okay, again 6 months. Okay, 18 months. After 18 months, the French ambassador in Israel wrote to the judge, I'm very sorry, but the Algerians, they won't participate. So there is no more case. The end. And the judge say, okay. And the judge sent the letter to Golda Meir. 62, 63. Uh-huh.
And Karen.
Yeah, in Karen case. Just saying that Golda Meir, and she answered. Golda Meir in 63, so just 4 years before the destruction, she knows by a written letter that there is no any more protection for the inhabitants. This is now, it's done. It will be on the 10th of June of 67, but me as an historian, I can say that at the end of 63, it's done. Because not anymore Ottoman Empire, not anymore the French protection, Algerian, and so on. Of course, in June 67, it's an Israeli story. And what we had to confront is the legendary and the historical thing. I won't go through because this is a picture taken by the French photographer Gilles Caron on Wednesday, 14th of June, the famous this famous day, 7 days after the conquest. This is Wednesday, 7th of June. Gilles Caron was Gilles Caron is this guy who took this picture very well. Why he was here? He was not a photographer working for war or something. He was working for musical, like Gainsbourg, Yves Montand, the star. And he was following Sylvie Vartan, who gave some concert in Israel. And at the end of May. And at the end of May, he wrote to Paris, I will stay because there is a lot of military moving around. I will stay. And when the war began on the 5th of June, of course, the sky was closed and Gilles was here. So he took this picture on Wednesday. We are, you saw where we are on the border of Sheikh Jarrah, looking at Mount Scopus there. He go inside through St. Stephen's Gate, he go left, he go on the Haram el-Sharif. You can see this picture, and he go out by the Bab al-Moghrabi, and he is in the Moghrabi neighborhood. I saw all this. It was his first time in Israel and his first time in Jerusalem. He doesn't know anything about Moghrabi neighborhood, even he doesn't know anything about the Western Wall. It's very funny. He go down, so he has the Western Wall here, and you can see him by taking pictures that he don't understand where he is. He's trying to, it's very narrow, and he saw Israeli soldiers like on the wall. there is no sense for him. You can see that he doesn't understand the situation. And after that, the rabbi, the famous Goren came and some soldiers explained to him, and he said, "Oh, okay." And he made this very famous picture. But again, for him, it's not it's a space. It's not a place because he doesn't have the storytelling. He make this crazy picture with Moshe Dayan, Yitzhak Rabin, Uzi Narkis, and so on. After that, he came out of the Mograbi neighborhood and to, let's say, the Jewish quarter. He made this beautiful picture. He made 3 of this. He doesn't know, but maybe it's the last picture of the Mograbi neighborhood. We are on Wednesday, 7th of June. The thing is, so it's still the beginning of the afternoon. He stay, he'd go in the Jewish quarter and he'd go down again, and he took this picture on the left. What strikes you on this picture? You see where we are?
It's high.
It's
high.
What is high?
I don't know. I just see the distance from the Al-Aqsa, but if it's adjacent to Al-Aqsa, then it's very high.
It's
No,
the level, I think, is more. Yeah, you know that there were there are the archaeological excavation in '68 here. So yeah, maybe you have one, but it's more. The excavation will be more here. So I think the road, yeah, maybe 1 meter. You're right. Maybe one or 2 meter above. But what do you see? You have information but comparing this picture and the picture on the top. Very simple. Look at the shadows. Here,
Okay.
it's around, we are in June, okay? The west is here, the south is there. It's around, yes, it's around noon. Noon, maybe 1 o'clock. It didn't make sense when you know the exact timing of the conquest of the city. Sorry. Look at the shadows. It's still it's the same days. It's around 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock. The shadows are very, very long, very long. This is the expulsion of the inhabitants of the Mograbi neighborhood. He didn't know it, but we know where he is. We see the people from where they come. We see these people. What is very strange for French is that the Israeli soldiers are dressed with French Algerian war. Yeah, for example, the hat
Helmet.
came from Algeria. Yeah, in '62 we sell it to the Israeli army. You remember that before '64, the Israeli army was more French than US. Yeah. So for us, and it's very strange because it's Israeli soldiers dressed with French, expelling Algerians. It's a kind of okay.
Vincent,
Yeah,
did you try to identify the people in the images and maybe?
sure,
mhm.
because it's 55 years ago, so a lot of
Yeah.
people are still
Go ahead,
alive.
their testimony?
All the children and so on. So we'll have a lot of testimonies, we have a lot of documents. It's not an impossible story. It's for me, it's not easy, but it's doable. Yeah, for sure. Now, so it's Wednesday, 7th of June. After that, Gilles Caron go to Suez Canal for the war, the Egyptian war, and up to the Golan for the Syrian war. And he come back in Jerusalem on Tuesday, 13th. And on Wednesday, 14th, he arrived, and you can see again with this picture that first he doesn't understand. There was something here. This is the wall, okay. This is the minaret, this is the mosque. But you can see him trying to remember and this is this is Enrico Macias. He came to give a concert he is a very tall man at the center. Of course, Gilles Caron know him because Gilles Caron was specialized by So you know him personally. Okay. We need the archives. I will go quicker because, yeah, we need the archives because we need to, yeah, to deal with, you know, maybe, I don't know if you know, but the legend is that private contractors came on Saturday, 10th of June, gather some bulldozer and so on, and proudly destroyed the Mograbi neighborhood, and the army let them do. So for sure, it's yeah, okay, we are in the very center of the old city of Jerusalem, and just private people came with bulldozer, and army said, oh yes, why not? Okay. So it was impossible. Everybody knows that it was impossible, but we, as an historian, we need the paper, we need the smoking gun. You remember that I used to work on hydrohistory for years, so I know very well the municipal archives of Jerusalem, very, 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 very well. And with the help of Meron Benvenisti, before he died, I go in the very technical, logistical archives of the municipality. I didn't went to the political level because I knew that there will be no thing in the political level. And even the military archives, you don't have. But the logistic, I was thinking, yeah, they have to destroy 135 houses in one night. It's a logistic issue, okay? So they will need some trucks, they will need some people, they will need some lights because it's during the night. They will need water for the dusk. And here we have everything. We are on the 9th of June. So we are on Friday morning, so the day before. This is a meeting between Teddy Kollek and Uzi Narkis. It's quite a level. You have the mayor and you have the military commander of the Jerusalem region. And they are listing what is very urgent after the ceasefire. The ceasefire will be on Saturday at 4 o'clock, the final ceasefire. And the point here, the point C is the destruction of the Mograbi neighborhood. We will have a meeting up there at 5:45. It's precise. We have an appointment. They have a lot to do. On 10th of June, so on Saturday, end of Shabbat, 5:45, we will be there. And if you want, we can gather at the municipality, and we will go together there. So yeah, the planification is proved. In the Israeli State Archives, in the Foreign Affairs, we discovered with Gadi Al-Ghaziz's document, is the diplomatic storytelling. And it makes sense today because it was a slum, it was very dangerous, and it was very urgent because these houses will collapse within hours, something like that. And here, by handwriting, it's written, Yael Vered Ad, and say that they will be rehoused very, very, very quickly. This document was sent to all the sensitive Israeli embassy around the world, including, for example, Iran and so on. We are still on the 9th, so we are still on Friday. No, we are before Shabbat, I don't know, beginning of the afternoon. And the day after, on Saturday at 5:45, 5 huge architect, heritage specialists and so on, gather to draw a map to say what is okay to destroy, these plots, and this one, but you must not destroy this, you must not destroy this, you must take care of this madrasa here and so on. The whole neighborhood will be destroyed, way more than it was. So it's interesting for us. We think that we have a very authentic document. We can see them even, maybe they draw it on site, precisely trying, it's urgent, but they did it. It's a decision-making map, but the day after, the reality will be different. So yeah, always be careful about that, even when you think that you have a document very, 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 very narrow of the real situation. The neighborhood is destroyed, but we decided not to stop the history because the inhabitants are still alive. There were one old woman who died, but the 800 inhabitants. And Meron Benvenisti, who was in charge of East Jerusalem, working with the collect at that time. Meron, and it's interesting to say, Meron was an historian. Meron was a medievalist. Meron, specialist of Crusader. He was 34 years old, and in 2018 he was ill. Really, yeah, he knew that he will die in the coming months. And he called me and he said, I want to give my archives to the Open Jerusalem Project. I refused because the Open Jerusalem Project cannot post some paper. So I tell them to put the paper in the Ben-Zvi Institute. He did it. But after that, he helped me a lot to go deeply in the municipal archives. And we discovered together these 4 files. You remember, this is the compensation file. The municipality organized in 6 months a process to give some money of the inhabitants, not for the buildings, because they were not the owner of the building, it's the WACF, but for the expulsion and for the stuff and furniture that they left, because they were expelled in 2 hours. So it's not the same if you are expelled and if you know that you will be expelled next month. So, and that what I call the Pompeii paradigm. Very strange for an historian. The destruction causes the documentation.
Yeah.
If not, if there were, why? Because it's exactly when you have a fire in your house, and the insurance asks you the document, and so you try not to forget anything because you want to get as much money as possible. Okay, so you are trying. This is my room. This is my computer. This is yeah. You try to describe everything. So can you imagine that here we have the description of all the furniture of all the 135 houses 1 hour before the destruction.
Wow.
It's like Pompeii, like it's crazy for social history, and so you can see that there are poor people, but there are rich people. Some of them have a radio. You imagine a radio, a fridge, or you can see all the living social history of yeah, this was a crazy discovery. It's not the end, because in 1975, the ex-Mukhtar of the neighborhood wrote to Lala Malika, sister of Hassan II. She was the president of the Croissant Rouge Marocain, saying, yeah, we are very poor. We are living in Sheikh Jarrah. We are living in Beit Hanina. We are living in refugee camp, and which is true. And they ask for money. And so Lala Malika wrote to Geneva, to the Red Cross. And so Geneva launched a big social quest, I don't know how you say, inquiry, social inquiry about the community. So we have a snapshot of the Moghrabi ex-inhabitants 8 years after the expulsion. We know where they live. We know, for example, here you have a list of all the houses destroyed, but it's here you have a toilet. Here you don't have a toilet. If you have a well, it's in French, puits. If, yeah, so we have all the description, and it's so just to you see the gap between the invisibility of the history and the richness of the documents. It's crazy. And we finished with this soil archives, contribution of archaeology. And even just talking about that, for me, it's very moving. We are, for example, here we are in August, 29th of August, 2013. This is, I think, it's not Bet Haliba, this one. It's more on the north part of where there are the toilets now, the public toilets. No, Bet Haliba is on the west side, on the north side. On the north side, so you're looking at the western wall. On the north side, there is all the toilets. Right. And to build this, they open and they discover many things. And yeah, there are still I have complicities in the Israeli archaeologists, so they showed me all the documents. For example, here we saw like dozens and dozens of, I don't know if you know what it
Keys.
is.
The key.
With the
Key.
no, it's
Huh?
not key.
Not key?
You see how, because it's expelled Palestinian, you see keys. But no, it makes sense.
Yeah.
What it
Maybe
is?
these things that hold the shutters in place?
No,
No?
no. It's very everyday life. It's yeah, it's shaver, hand shaver.
Mm.
No, not scissors,
Yeah.
shaver.
Like shaving
make-
machine.
Yeah, you remember that
The- no,
even
the
when you
knee.
want to shave, it's of course.
No, yeah, that's what.
Yeah. But we have like 30 in the same place, so there were a barber here.
Ah,
For sure. This is for the meat. This is petrol gas. This is each time that they can you see where we are? We are on the plaza. We are in January 2023. An Israeli colleagues called me. It was on Monday morning. Told me you have to come now. We discovered a crazy house of the Mograbi neighborhood. And in fact, you see down. This is a house. You see the courtyard. You see even the painting. There is a blue room. There is a yellow one. Many objects. Again, they were expelled in 2 hours. So everything is there. It's crazy. Everything. We discovered a bowl with how you say it when you want to. Yeah. It was in the bowl with the sapun in and the earth on it. So we can see the guy. He was shaving it himself and he left. It's like Pompeii. So there is a lot of archaeological remain, just like 30 centimeters under your feet when you are. So I'm here in the very middle of the mess. It was on Monday morning. I told him it's impossible for me to come today. I will come tomorrow, Tuesday. He said, no, impossible. Tomorrow it will be destroyed. And yeah, the day after it was destroyed. They go down very quickly because it's very sensitive. So we have like 2-3 hours to take pictures and so on.
Was it destroyed or covered?
Destroyed.
Because they're digging
Destroyed.
an archaeological excavation to find a second temple period. So they are cleaning all what all the modern stuff.
You cannot
Yeah.
find what is below
Yeah,
if you
it's
don't
not
destroy
enough,
what
yeah.
is so. But we take pictures. And we have some negotiations trying to explain to them that because the story is more and more well known, they should keep one house here, one house here. They should keep the story inside the thing because.
What happened to the objects? Are they kept somewhere?
Yeah. The objects are there. The objects are. There's no more. The object. We are in the Israeli Authority Antiquity here. And I don't know. Trofim, I think.
Although these are not
Not
antiquities.
antiquities.
But yes.
They're
Yeah.
kept.
Yeah, sure. When you see that you have quotations, you have till today it's kept. Yeah. And yeah, we will finish with this just to show you how we can work. It's a very technical issue and not the best, but just you go from a map as precise as possible with the building, with the courtyard, with the walls. You are trying to fix the problems. I don't have any more. Here, for example, you have circulations problems. It's a kind of labyrinth. In some spaces, if you are in the middle, you can die without, there is no possibility for you to go out. So we were trying to make coherency in this map. Of course, we gather many pictures. The problem is how to produce 3D with a single angle of view. Everyone took always the picture of this place from the same angle because they want to have the wall and the Dome of the Rock and the Mount of Olives. So 90% of our corpus is the same angle, which is not good for 3D. but we managed to have more picture. No, we found some ground photos. For example, this is during the 30s, so we have a quite precise situation about the ground. You see huge stones here, more ancient, I think, on the right. We use aerial view. We don't have many. We have the Zeppelin. I think you saw this one, the Zeppelin picture. But I went to the Zeppelin archives. But I hoped that maybe the operator took one picture before or one picture 10 seconds after, but no. Maybe he was putting a new film in his, I don't know. This is the only one, which is a pity because 1/3, 40% of the neighborhood is lacking here. North part and west part. This is another view, but it's very far away. And we began to work on the circulation to make this neighborhood coherent. And we worked with the inhabitants, of course, and they helped us a lot. There was a lot of this kind of corniche in the neighborhood. We can see it. Of course, we don't have it. And it's exactly the same in Hebron. So, for example, just to explain you, I sent this picture to the Italian company to say, yeah, put this kind of corniche on the. So sometimes, yeah, gaps and analogies it's possible to. Vegetation, because I was very afraid not to build like mineral heritage. The city of before, everyone is talking about the greenness of the city today, but can you see the neighborhood as it was before? Here on the left, you see Moshe Dayan. He is taking some flowers for his wife. It's a very well-known story.
Wife?
All the he was a lover.
Yeah.
You know, and all the rest of the day we'll have the jasmine flower here. This jasmine flower we are taking, I discover exactly, and Itzhak Rabin is waiting for him. Let's say, okay, Moshe, let's go. Maybe we have. You see, Itzhak Rabin there.
Yeah.
I think it's so a lot of we try to gather all the documents, and maybe just to show you how from where never you do not decide to make 3D if it's not. Yeah, it's a big decision. It's at the beginning it's like that. It's like and months after it's just trying to put them up. I'm trying, this is much better, just to explain you the process a little bit.
This is the British map.
Yeah, the Salmon British map 36. I asked for it to get out of but it is very big. That's why we didn't see it yesterday. It's 36, printed at 46 and reprinted at 66. Now it's not good, but it's better. But it's very systematic, so we have to correct everything. Okay, and the last one, maybe this one. Yeah, this one we began to be inside the neighborhood, but you see that the walls it's not done. It's not coherent at all. So we made a lot of correction here. It's totally it's not the same today. But okay, this is the work that we have done in May to work on the texture. You can see that it's better. We took a huge decision here, is to put a picture for the Western Wall, because I was saying myself, the Western Wall is still here. It is it is the center of the story, more or less. So let's get out of the 3D and just put the real stuff somewhere. So I think it was a good. This is Mamluk architecture, of course. Here you can see the pavement. So really, here it's more big. Here it's more small. And now, now we have it in 5 languages, and the story is still continuing. Thank you very much. We still have maybe 10 or 15 minutes to discuss, or yeah.
Throughout the centuries, but were there internal movements, intermarriage between the Maghrebis and the rest of the population? I mean, you portray a pretty fixed.
It's an excellent.
demographic.
I thought that these toponyms related to a community from Maghrebi, but in the 18th or 19th century or beginning of 20th century, there is no more links between the community and the Maghreb. Totally false. In the French archives, I can see that each time that the French kind of diplomat come to see it go back to Alger or to Morocco with dozens of letters for the family. So and he's asking for the cousins to come because this cousin died, and so he has to replace him in this shop. Or there were Maghrebis sometimes they go back to Maghreb, sometimes people from Maghreb came. It was very dynamic, and remember that each year during the Hajj, there are dozens and dozens and dozens and hundreds of Maghrebis coming just for the pilgrimage, so exchanging the news about the family, about the mother. Unfortunately, she passed away, and so on. Sometimes they sleep there. Sometimes they stay. They decided to stay because I want to die in Jerusalem. So it was a really fluid and dynamic interrelation till the very end of the neighborhood.
What type of family relations could there be if this neighborhood is from you said 12th, 13th century? We're talking about the 19th century, so
Because no,
my cousins from 20 years ago, I'm not
But
really
no.
related with. But
no, because every year there is the pilgrims. So every year for 8 centuries, every year you have some people who came from Maghreb and who stay. So it's not like it was really fluid and yeah.
Two questions. First, the image, the photo of the sovereign,
The photo of what?
spoke.
Ah.
How took me a second to realize they're not.
You're right. What struck me, and I think it struck you, is they are very chic. And it's always the same. When I did work a lot, I worked about the picture of the slums in France when they were expelled in Paris, in Lyon, and so on. When the people are expelled, they put the richest possible. It's as simple as that. You took your first and second because you don't know. Maybe 1 hour after you will be in front of a judge or in front of. So you dress you as best as possible. You see the shirts and so on. You choose. You bring white because you don't know. Sometimes you have to. This is a white flag. Always they have the white thing in their hand. Here.
I said there was the guy who was
Yeah.
shaving.
Case. Yeah, suitcase. Woman. But you're right. Yeah, it's not inhabitants of a slum. It's neighborhood. Yeah.
I was thinking, this is such a great presentation, such a great paper, and I was thinking of all the kind of discussion now about the Maghrebis, and in connection to something that's maybe mentioned this morning about the Hanseatics, the kind of communities of expatriates, the geographies of cities, and how certain communities kind of evoke different geographies. And I thought the Maghrebis are expatriates, really.
Yeah.
Think about it.
But
Because
they are-
have external
but they are
backgrounds.
Deeply in the center of the social urban system.
But they kind of their job in the social system was kind of dependent on them being an outsider, so a trusted courier and people from, and also people who had outside backing and support from different communities across different stages and times. In a way, you see this with different kind of stories about expatriates, that once the backing is gone, and the community is vulnerable and either leaves by itself or is destroyed.
Yeah.
You see this time and time again. So it's just, we don't actually think about expatriates as something that is, let's say, outside of the Western kind of colonial, let's say, sphere, but maybe they are.
Yeah, and during this imperial time, it's normal situation. The strange thing is that today, the Maghrebi families, they are still Maghrebi. They never forget the name, and sometimes even they add there Al-Maghrebi Al-Fasi, Al-Maghrebi Al-Marakshi, because they want to. So they have link very they have not exactly the same Arabic than in other places of Jerusalem. Sometimes they have Moroccan passport. Sometimes they have Tunisian passport. Sometimes their name is Al-Maghrebi Al-Jazairi with Tunisian passport. Yeah. And I say, but you're Tunisian? I say, no, I'm an Algerian, I'm a Palestinian with a Tunisian passport because the Tunisian consul proposed me a passport. So why not? Al-Maghrebi. And so they are playing, they are playing, you know, very fluidly with this.
Thank you very much. I know nothing about it, so maybe it will sound weird for the Israeli among us. Do they have any connection to the Maghrebi area in Tel Aviv? In southern Tel Aviv?
Yeah, but they are Jewish. This is Moroccan Jewish. Yeah. But you're right that sometimes the story, because the popular knowledge, sometimes when you are talking about the Maghrebis, okay, there are Maghrebis in front of the Western Wall. Should be Jewish, no? No, they are Muslims. Sure? Yeah, I'm sure. Okay, but you're not the only one. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Can I follow up on that? Because we have Jewish Maghrebi immigrants in thousands to Jerusalem in the same period, who also build a neighborhood, which we will see in the tour in 2 days from now.
Yeah.
So are there any connections? Is there any sense of local patriotism of expatriates from the Maghreb in Jerusalem identify as
The
Maghreb?
only thing that I can see is that the Waqf has all the neighborhood, but has some other buildings because, you know, a Waqf is a dynamic institution. So times two times family give this building, and this building. So there are many buildings. There were many buildings inside the old city or even outside the old city belonging to the Waqf. And what I can see is that as far as I can see with the names and family names, there are a lot of non-Muslim residents, locataires, and some of them are Jewish, and a lot of Jewish are from Maghreb. I don't know.
Because they have maybe common language or something.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, before.
But
Yeah.
there is a Maghrebian court in the center of the Muslim quarter, but it was all some Maghrebian families that immigrated from Maghreb and settled in the center of what we call now Muslim quarter. The Hope Hebron Street or
That guy.
Jewish Maghreb, yes.
Yeah.
Jewish center till now.
Yeah.
The name is the Maghrebians. Maghrebian court.
It's part of the
Exactly
problem.
as
The toponym is a part of the problem.
Mentioned the out of
And even Maghrebi, Maghrebi, you know, for the sometimes they are calling the Moroccan quarter. It's not Moroccan, but for the Maroc today they are playing this card and saying it's Moroccan quarter. It's not Moroccan quarter. During the 50s, there were 1/3 of Moroccan and the other were Algerian and Tunisia, from Algeria, from Tunisia. But they're a kind of Moroccanization of the quarter, and so it has links with what we are saying. Yeah.
Two short questions. Who instituted the original Waqf back in the 12th century? And where were the people expelled to in 1967?
So at the end of the 12th century, it's Al Abdallah Ali, so the son, the eldest son of Saladin. So it's 1193. This is the date. And it's part of the program of reurbanization of Jerusalem, re-Islamization of Jerusalem. So yeah, where they go? Shuafat, Silwan, sometimes Jericho, sometimes Amman if they have families.
Was it organized
Bet
in
Hani-
any way, collectively,
No,
or-
yeah, you ask a good question because I didn't tell you to say it, but in this file, at the end of each file, at the very end, so the family is describing the furniture and so on and so on, and Meron is working on it and say, okay, we will give you, I don't know, 250. And at the end, there is a letter explaining two things, that the inhabitants has to sign to get the money. Yeah? And point one, we will never complain against anyone. So I didn't, I forget the silent, yes, Meron worked well. It's juridically, it has no value, but for these people, you know, they sign, morally, they sign that we will never complain again. So if they don't sign, they don't get the money. Second, we are not living inside the old city, and we will never live again inside the old city. I can see it because one of the women, she's a widow, Miyasa, and so at the very end of the process, and she has the money, no, she had the amount of the money, and she signed the letter, and one of the Palestinian collaborator of Meron Benvenisti wrote, she said that she is not in the old city, but she is, I know that she is in this street, cancelled. So it worked. Why? Because they doesn't want the community to bring together. It was very clear, very, very clear. And that's why, but still, still today, they have an association, they have, you know, they have their flag on the last building, you know, this flag, of course. Can you imagine have an American flag in the middle of the old city of Jerusalem? It's something. So yeah, no, they have a real strong identity. Yeah.
It's very reminiscent, I just a comment, it's very reminiscent of the story, and maybe, I don't know if Tony might have more familiarity with the detail of the Italian populations who were moved out when Mussolini was excavating the area around the farm. And there was a whole very vibrant quarter, probably on a bit of a larger scale, but not.
Sure, I think, yeah, sure.
But I don't think it was a quick, right? But I think it was pretty abrupt, and it was without thought to it, very little thought to their lives after, and very little, right?
Yeah.
Very little thought to their any personal issue.
Sure.
There are also similarities within.
The same in Beirut. Same in Beirut. Just after the civil war, the archaeological work. Now it's still open, and now there were people there. There were people there, and they were expelled because of the war, but because of the archaeology, and now they are not. Yeah.
I mean, there are similarities within Palestine and then Israel. I think of the case in Jaffa after the Arab Revolt, where the Brits create what they called later like the Shetach Gadol, the big. I don't know. Yeah, used to be the Kasbah of Jaffa, and now is a park.
But there was no revolt here.
Yeah.
This is the difference.
Yeah.
Different.
But and also in Haifa, what I'm working on, the way that they expelled most of the Palestinian.
The British.
No, the Israelis.
Okay.
Most of the Palestinian population, 60,000 out of 70,000. But most of the Palestinian neighborhoods remained intact, and there were Jews. You know, the houses went to the state, and then the state inhabited it with people. But one specific area in downtown Haifa, they ruined it, and it's also interesting the way that the Antiquity Authority operated within the Maghrabi neighborhood, because also in downtown Haifa, when they ruined everything, they kept, I don't think it was the antiquity, I think it was because international treaties, yeah, thank you. But they kept the old mosques from the 18th century and the several churches from the 19th century, but everything else, so it was a crowded Kasbah, they ruined everything else, and it brings.
Includes all the Jewish quarter. Includes synagogue.
Yeah, there was the older Harat el Yahud.
You know,
yeah.
the city are destroyed and rebuilt many times.
No, but it was
And
also very
no,
quick,
but
very quick.
sure, the strengthening it, the location of the event and in the very center of the very center of the very center of the conflict and the gap between this location and the site, and it's just what we are working on, and what is progressing more and more. It's that's why I think the book will be published in Hebrew, because even like, it's like wow, it's not okay. There isn't we know. Now it's this thing is new, and it's like the nose in the middle of your face. It's not here or there. It's whoa. Yeah.
Was there any attempt or maybe intention to tell the story in the place itself, to say commemorate it? I mean, because the digital project is amazing, and I'm sure there's a lot to learn from it, but is there any
Memorial?
anything there that says
You know the place?
No, but
now it's a Hotel Plaza. It's the
No, but-
Western Wall Plaza.
but still you can put any a flag or something.
No, but yes, because it's we are playing in the public debate now. So even when I'm down and discussing with the Israeli colleagues, archaeologists, or even with the Western Wall Plaza, I'm just, you know, that they you can have a 3D glass just to see the second temple, and this 3D Maghrabi neighborhood, I explained to them, you know, that the V4, you will have the possibility just to put it in a very cheap thing in even in paper, and you will be on the plaza side. So I'm just explaining to them, frankly, but in a very Israeli way, so very frankly, saying that, you know, this story is growing up and up and up. For example, the Morocco kingdom will open a big cultural center. I don't know if you know it, in Via Dolorosa. It's 3,000 square meters. It's ready, but they don't open it officially because of the situation, but it's fully ready, and it's Morocco. And I can say to you that the two first rooms are, of course, they will play this card. And they asked me the 3D, I gave them the 3D. So just to answer to you, yeah, we are not far away. So so I'm just explaining to the guy downstairs that you should keep one house, or maybe not in the middle, but why not here or there, put a text, because if not, the popular knowledge will growing up and up and up.
Right
this
now
documentary film will be out and so on. And it's better for you to canalize the, you know, and they are clever enough to, so we are, it's a kind of negotiation, but it's a negotiation with, we have to be very strong, and we are not asking for, we are just showing them that we are working with many people, including Israelis and academics and so on. And so they will have no choice but to tell something about that. Just
have to check. Maybe I'm the only one here, except you, who's a French speaker, and I'm Rabin. I was born in the city that started this Hotel Tlemcen. Sheikh Abu Medin.
You were born in Tlemcen?
In Tlemcen, one of the last Jews born in Tlemcen 64 years ago. Nowadays, there's no one Jew in Tlemcen. There's no other beautiful synagogue was destroyed. What I wanted to say that you didn't mention works of orientalist Paul Fenton, who's British, who lectured in Sorbonne in France.
I know him very well. Yeah, we were in the same. We were in the same.
Mentioned it, and
lab.
you didn't mention, and I'm very surprised that here nobody did remark that what
But Paul didn't work.
represent the Maghrabi quarter for the Jews, except especially for the Jews from Algeria, from which I'm one of them. Morocco, especially in 1967, I was 7 years old, and we have all in the memory that we've been humiliated not only before the French came in Algeria, but also in Jerusalem. This was the most violent neighborhood against Jews, against pilgrims who came from North Africa in the 19th century. You didn't mention that.
I talk about no. I talk about August 1929, saying that this riots
Talking about
begin
the-
exactly
Marxism of
begin exactly with the battle between Jewish and inhabitants of the Maghrabi neighborhood.
Not only in Jerusalem, the Lebanese were there, but also in Galilee. You didn't mention that. I'm just surprised. Now I'm going to speak as a
But Paul didn't work on
French
the topic.
speaker. I'm going to try to make it in English. You're known as one of the most
סליחה חבר, אתה מנצל לרעה את ההזמנה שנתתי לך להיכנס לכאן, אתה לא חלק מהקבוצה הסגורה הזאת, זה לא כנס, זה אירוע סגור, אתה לא מדבר על הנושא שלנו, אני מבקש ממך עכשיו, לא זה לא הנושא, אני מבקש ממך עכשיו לחדול, אני בהחלט משתיק אותך, זה מה שקורה כאן, זה מה שקורה כאן, אני משתיק אותך.
Let's talk.
Okay?
No, I'm silenced by
אתה
No, don't be
מנצל
silent.
לרעה
I'm
את
just.
הטוב לב שלי ואת
Let's
ההזמנה
talk.
שלי. ואתה עכשיו...
סליחה, let's talk together. Let's talk together. I'm here for 45 minutes more. Paul Fenton never worked. I knew him personally. Never worked on the Maghrabi neighborhood. We will talk together. And I think maybe one last question here or there, or because well, David, yeah.
I was thinking about like what we were talking earlier this morning about place and space and
Yeah.
the potential of digital technology to kind of fit into, in a way, to create space.
Yeah, to recreate spaces,
And
yeah,
so many
or
kind of
places.
these projects like Zohar project, and also like in a way like to use digital technologies to create an alternative where there's no physical space. We use this to because in many ways I think that the physical space especially in Palestine but also other places, sometimes there's no space for all of the places that's kind of superimposed.
You're right, and
in the way
you're perfectly right. And I think maybe we can finish on this because, you know, we are academic. You are academic. You are preparing your PhD and so on. So you are writing your PhD, publishing papers, going to symposium, translation, even answer to journalists and so on. And so, but in a certain point, I understood that if I don't show the real place to the people, something will still. Yes, there was a, and this is the first paper that that Nir knew the story very well. I know Nir Hassan for years and years, and he was very interested. But in June 2023, when he opened the app, he was shocked.
Yeah.
He was shocked by the visual. By the visual sensation, but he knew everything. Nir Hassan knew everything about the old city of Jerusalem. What? I don't know. Some people are working on in Palmyra after Daesh, but it's more ecological things. It was doable because it's not that large. We have 4 streets, so it's we can work building by building. And last thing about the local, some people who do know the knowledge, no, they do know, but they see and their knowledge change.
Yeah.
First, second, the inhabitants themselves. This is very important. The inhabitants, so they were here like they were 15 years old, 20 years old. So they have remembered, but they were expelled in 2 hours. And before the 3D, I was asking, do you remember where there was the barber, where there was, it's a trauma, you know? So they remember that they say, yeah, I was with my father, I had, but before, and when they open, when they opened the thing, the souvenir came out again. So, yeah, this is, I remember my friend, blah, 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 this is that, my teacher, blah, blah. So you create knowledge, even oral testimonies, via 3D. It's kind of retro.
Is there a plan to take this model and make it into a kind of a deep map that has the memories embedded
Exactly,
in it,
exactly.
and give the houses names, because at the moment there's sites.
Exactly. And for the moment, there is no one in the streets, which is always the problem with the 3D. Yeah.
I think
something almost. The original, the traditional wedding, the traditional kotel was part of the Mugabean neighborhood. We have to remember it. It was very small. It was organic part of the neighborhood. What we call now Western Wall, it's Israeli Kotel Ma'aravi. It's situated on the ruins of the Mugabean neighborhood. It's not the same place. It's huge place used for Israeli rituals, and it's almost quite marginal, just a praying place. Just a praying place. So the original one, we have to judge it with the relationship between two communities, the Jewish and the Mugrabian and Mossad, etc. So part of the Mugrabian.
Yeah, you saw it.
I see that it's very clear, but not for everyone. That's the reason that we would like to emphasize it. It was absolutely two institutions. One was a traditional part of the Muslim for the Mandat and the Ottoman period, and the new one, it's Israeli totally. Built and apply to the West. If you come to the Kotel, then you apply to the East. Now part of it, not all, it's applied to the West, to the huge court that used for Israeli rituals, for the army, for the Memorial Day in Yom Ha'atzmaut, etc. So it changed dramatically, and we have to take it in consideration, even in the memory of the Mugabean neighborhood.
And for your question, there is a project about shtetls. Okay.
We conclude now.
Thank you.